The proper pH of the stomach is between 1.5 and 2.2, so it is very, very acidic. Stomach acid was given to us by God as part of our creation for a reason. The functions of stomach acid are to help us break down protein and absorb the building blocks of protein, which are the amino acids. It helps us to kill pathogens such as viruses, fungi, and bacteria, and helps us to absorb certain minerals and vitamins properly and maintain the overall homeostasis of the body. Hi, I'm Joy Hoisington, functional nutrition coach and natural culinary specialist, and I help people with digestive and health challenges get to the root of their issues through a functional approach to their health care. I post videos on Thursdays each week, so stay tuned for videos regularly by subscribing below and hitting the notification bell so that you can be notified for every new video that I post. So let's get to it. 9 reasons why you might be at risk for having low stomach acid. Number 1. Your digestive troubles or vitamin and mineral deficiencies have started as you've reached the age of 50 or over. Stomach acid production, as well as enzyme production, tends to decrease with age, which can lead to bloating, a feeling of food not moving through the GI tract smoothly, or constipation, which is essentially not pooping enough, which would be basically not pooping at least once per day or having hard to pass stools. An article I came across from Harvard mentioned that an estimate of between 10 to 30% of adults over the age of 50 have difficulty absorbing vitamin B12 from food, which sufficient stomach acid is needed for. Number 2, you have an active H. pylori infection. H. pylori is a harmful bacteria that lives in the gut that creates an enzyme called urease that neutralizes acidity in the stomach and causes the protective lining of the stomach and GI tract to become compromised and break down, which is what leads to stomach ulcers and irritation. Many people can actually have H. pylori without any noticeable symptoms except for the symptoms of low stomach acid or maybe stomach ulcers as a standalone symptom. Other symptoms that it can cause are weight loss, burning in the stomach, and pain, especially when the stomach is empty, or a dull pain that doesn't go away. It can also happen 2 to 3 hours after eating, and it can come and go for days or weeks at a time. If you take antacids and you find relief while taking them and the pain resolves, this is another sign. H. pylori can be tested through a quantitative stool panel called a GI map, which I can order for my clients, and it will need to be treated through a functional medicine doctor or a licensed healthcare provider, usually with a course of antibiotics and probiotic therapy alternating to help reestablish a balanced gut bacterium and get rid of the H. pylori. Reason number 3 is that you have an autoimmune disease. There are over 80 different autoimmune diseases out there, but some specific ones that turn our attention to the function of stomach acid production are with type 1 diabetes, Hashimoto's, and autoimmune gastritis, which is often the cause of pernicious anemia or anemia caused by low vitamin B12. Autoimmune gastritis is an autoimmune disease where in an individual, their own immune system targets certain cells inside the stomach for destruction, causing a failure to produce enough intrinsic factor, which is a component needed for sufficient stomach acid. It essentially leads to low stomach acid because of the fact that intrinsic factor, again, stimulates stomach acid production and release. Those with Hashimoto's thyroiditis or type 1 diabetes seem to be at much higher risk of this autoimmune stomach disease. AIG is also commonly the culprit for those with different kinds of anemia, and it's often considered a silent condition because it does not tend to create any gastric symptoms or symptoms in general, besides some things that you might find in blood work, such as anemia or certain immune markers. When you have this autoimmune disease or any of these autoimmune diseases, the right nutritional support and supplementation is going to be crucial for you, as is the case for any other cause of low stomach acid. Taking out inflammatory foods, supplementing with the right nutrients, and of course supporting your stomach acid production are going to be key here. Number 4, you are iron deficient, have pernicious anemia or megaloblastic anemia. Iron is a mineral contained in certain foods such as animal protein and some plant foods that is largely what makes up the red blood cells or hemoglobin. The role of red blood cells is to deliver oxygen to all of the cells and tissues of the body on a constant basis. When someone becomes low in iron, no matter what the underlying cause, the result is less oxygen being delivered to the tissues and cells. Since our cells and tissues need oxygen, this is crucial to our health on every level. Sufficient stomach acid is needed to absorb iron and vitamin B12, which are two things that go hand in hand together in hemoglobin production. So no matter what kind of anemia you have, if you are anemic, stomach acid should be a consideration for you. Number 5, you are vitamin B12 deficient. Proper stomach acid production is essential for intrinsic factor production, which is a component inside the stomach that helps to absorb vitamin B12. The most two common signs of low vitamin B12 is fatigue and depression, but it can also cause pretty serious long-term nerve damage. Testing for low vitamin B12 is not always clear-cut and easy and should be confirmed through a naturopath or functional medicine practitioner, but an MMA, which is a methylmalonic serum test, is the one I recommend because it's not likely to miss a vitamin B12 deficiency at play in the early stages, and the test is very inexpensive. It works by measuring the amount of methylmalonic acid in your blood, which, if high, is due to the MMA not converting into the vitamin B12, which part of the natural sequence of events is in how B12 is absorbed and converted. Number 6, you have heartburn or acid reflux or gastroesophageal reflux disease. Please be sure to check out my video on the root causes of heartburn and acid reflux if you are someone who struggles with this. I have lots and lots of tips for you. But if you do struggle with this, low stomach acid production is a very common culprit. Number 7 is you have trouble digesting fats. If you find that now and then when you get lots of stomach pain, gas, or diarrhea when eating fatty foods particularly, this stems back to low stomach acid because sufficient stomach acid is needed to trigger a hormone called CCK or cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin is released in response to ample amounts of stomach acid, which then triggers your gallbladder to release bile, which is what breaks fats down. This leads to proper fat digestion. Some more signs of this are pale colored stools, foul smelling gas that gets trapped in the intestines, bloating, and stomach cramps. Number 8 is that you have either been diagnosed with or suspect that you have irritable bowel syndrome or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO for short. When your stomach acid production goes down, it allows for unfavorable organisms to survive through the stomach and migrate into the intestines. This can lead to all kinds of complications in the gut, from bloating, diarrhea, constipation, excessive gas, which are all symptoms of IBS, and in addition, it can lead to small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which is basically when bacteria that normally lives in the colon starts being able to shift and migrate up into the ileum, or the lower part of the small intestine. Many times, once the stomach acid is supported with other food interventions in place, the IBS resolves, and other times medical intervention is needed, as with SIBO, since the bacterial organisms aren't easily eradicated, especially if it's advanced enough. There is testing for SIBO should anyone suspect that they have it, and that is a simple breath test after ingesting a solution of lactulose. The symptoms of SIBO are similar to that of IBS, but they often include bloating as a notable and common problem after meals. Number 9 is that you are chronically stressed emotionally. When you are stressed, you go into fight or flight mode, which is the sympathetic nervous system response. I'm sure that you've heard of this. And this is basically polar opposite to the rest and digest mode or the parasympathetic nervous system. In order for digestion to function well, you must be in a rested state, especially while eating, primarily because there's a nerve inside our gut called the vagus nerve that gets stimulated when this rested state is at play. And this is how stomach acid secretion is stimulated. When you are in a constant state of stress, or our vagus nerve is not able to be accessed properly, and therefore it leads to insufficient stomach acid production. It also leads to insufficient enzyme and bile secretion and poor digestion in general. This is particularly why it's ideally important to be eating your food without distractions in a peaceful setting that is conducive to a happy state of mind. There's a phase of digestion called the cephalic phase, which starts in the brain. This is where the nervous system comes in. We must be rested to trigger this phase of digestion first. Being in a rested state, thinking about our food, smelling our food, appreciating and blessing our food can help us to get into that phase of digestion quickly, as opposed to eating when upset, anxious, rushed, sad, or distracted. Please check out my video on the root causes of heartburn and acid reflux to learn more on how to support your stomach acid production naturally if you think that this might be the culprit. For those of you who want to start eating healthy and you're not even sure where to start or how to prepare a healthy meal plan, I provided you below a 3-day healthy eating plan that comes with recipes, ingredients, and a shopping list for you, complete with pictures of all the meals. It's a little taste of what I do with my clients as a service that is provided when working with clients. I design a meal plan catered to their specific needs. So go ahead and take the time to quickly access that 3-day meal plan so that you can get started in making some healthy meals right away. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.